So good morning, beloved community. Was your season filled with the wonderful gift of receiving and giving love? To the end of love, although my mind keeps saying, but love is never ending. Well, it's wonderful to be here now for 2017. So, 'tis the season for New Year's resolutions, right? I hear the giggles. And to be honest, I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions. Why? Well, I can choose a new beginning anytime, can I not? And more than once a year? I hope so. Also, I think that New Year's resolutions, people tend to think of something that's about a new habit or a new discipline. And of course, just running out of the gate and doing something different right now for 21 days to create that new habit. What do you know about that? It's not that it can't be done. It can. But I'm going to talk a little bit about today. For me, if I look back on last year, it was not so much about a New Year's resolution as it was a vision. And I usually start out my new year with questions. Where's Mr. Wonderman when you need him? Actually, last year at this time, my New Year questions began with Mr. Wonderman, Reverend Michael Benson. And we actually had gone to several breakfasts together discussing the possibility of us candidating to become your spiritual co-directors here. So wow. How fun and how wonderful it is for me to look back now and to see how all those questions moved into a vision that is alive right here, right now. And I can't help but stop, and as I was creating my lesson, just live in my grateful heart for being able to be in that space here and now, living it as it began about a year ago. And what's fun now is I can actually take my grateful heart and use this now to be the seed for 2017, beginning with gratitude, to create a vision for 2017 with all of you. That's exciting for me. I actually thought about, while our theme for 2017 is Yahoo! A few people caught that. From transformation for 2016 to inspiration. And I think the sub-quote to that, based on doing this lesson today, was be the seed to plant a new vision. So let's begin by asking this question. What happens when the brain and the heart are not on the same page?
Confusion.
Confusion.
Disharmony.
Disharmony. Discomfort.
Presidential elections.
Okay, I am going to go a little bit there. Thank you for that, Ernest. So we all agree that when the head and the heart are not in alignment, it may perhaps be a little chaotic, right? You may be in the ocean with a storm, just moving with the waves and the tide. And in New Thought philosophy, we typically talk about changing our thinking, but we know it's not just our thinking because that thinking needs to be accompanied by the heart and vice versa, yes? The head has the power to plant the seed into the soil, and the soil must be fertile in order for the seed to germinate, yes? So we can use that metaphor metaphysically. It's not just about positive thinking as far as the bad name that positive thinking may get when people just think, oh yeah, all I have to do is say it and then by law of attraction it happens. No, there's more to it than that. and due to subconscious beliefs that we may not even be aware of. And I speak very specifically about this, that there are things that happened to us before we had our language. Beliefs began really from the moment we were conceived. I was going to say from the moment we were born, but actually more and more science is showing no, from the time of conception, things already begin to germinate within us. And so you may not see your New Year's resolution because you may not have an alignment. And the power of thought, you've heard me speak to the fact that your mind is like the steering wheel, but your heart is the gas pedal. And they have to work together to create a vision, a intention to bring about a vision. So, the ingredients for inspiring yourself with a vision requires heart and brain and spirit, because you bring with you your unique expression of God, higher power, divine source, whatever you choose to call that, together. And in this book by Greg Braden called Resilience from the Heart, the first chapter actually talks about the power of heart and brain coherence, scientifically. Something that science of mind has known based on our philosophy and our principles. But now isn't it fun to see science sort of move its way into becoming coherent with science of mind, right? And he also calls that brain-heart coherence psychophysical coherence. Okay, so that's sort of the scientific term. Because based on the alignment of our head and heart, we actually, our brain will introduce chemistry into our body. So like when your head's one way and your heart's the other, and you don't have that coherence, what kind of chemistry would that bring? Versus when you get your mind behind something and your heart lines up, what kind of chemistry is happening in your body then? Anybody heard of the Institute of Heart Math? Yeah, a lot of you probably have. I know I've brought it up before. Greg Braden, in his book, actually uses a lot of the Institute of Heart Math's information, science, well, specifically heart math has research. And Greg summarizes that research where science and spirituality are overlapping. And he describes how the science is discovering more about our intuition and the power of our heart. You even have the little device with you. M-Wave. And there's a lot of technology coming out, which actually I love. Not because the technology drives me, but it's like a dashboard. You know, whether you have a Fitbit or a smartwatch or any of those, you get to see sort of the mirror of how much exercise or how much alignment you have. And there is also something new called Spire that I learned about that also is giving you feedback technologically about where you are emotionally each day. And again, aligning your head with your heart more frequently throughout the day based on the feedback you get from the device. So I'm thinking there's a whole workshop about using your smartphone and technology to give yourself feedback about that coherence or non-coherence, as the case may be. So there's a lot of information at the Institute of Heart Math website, heartmath.org. And Heart Math provides some tools that connect us with the heart. Well, actually, this is what Heart Math's purpose is, written on the website. Heart Math provides tools that connect us with a heart of, quote, who we truly are, unquote, for living healthier, fulfilling lives and building a brighter future. There's not anything in common with science of mind on that, is there? And it's interesting because heart math is again coming from a scientific perspective, but quote unquote, who we truly are. They don't give it a name, but they are talking about lining up your spirit, who you truly are. Since 1991, the Heart Math Institute has researched and developed reliable, scientifically based tools to help people bridge the connection between their hearts and minds and deepen their connection with the hearts of others. So, there are 3 tools that you can actually go to the Heart Math website and learn more about those tools. So let me just give a brief. The first one's called Heart Math Appreciation Tool. Are you surprised? An effective way to improve mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. There's a second tool called Quick Coherence Technique. Easily create a state of coherence in about 60 seconds. And when you're in a coherent state, your thoughts and emotions are balanced and you experience ease and inner harmony. Can you guess what the third tool is? Global coherence. Community, connecting with others. Is that what we do here? Yeah. Love the alignment. And the way they describe the Global Coherence Initiative that they have going on, it says, increase and sustain heart coherence in only minutes a day. Go into your inner calm and balance to be more effective at sending out care, compassion, and appreciation around the world. What do you think about their vision? In alignment with us?
It's necessary.
And so why is this all important and necessary? I assume you're here for learning spiritual tools and techniques to practice your spiritual connection with your higher power, yes? To inspire yourself to a vision? Why do we need you to inspire yourself with a vision? Because the world needs you. Yes, uniquely you. This nation needs you. Chico needs you. This community needs you. Your family and friends need you. We all need you to be more of who you truly are. To practice your spiritual connection to your higher calling, your purpose here in life, to demonstrate and express the truth with a capital T, to be, as Sandy mentioned today in the contemplation, to be the love, the light, peace, kindness, compassion, beauty, joy, creativity, power, intelligence that you are. To live your purpose, you need to inspire yourself with a vision. What's the alternative? Well, you can let the ocean of external events and all the drama bang you around. Probably without a whole lot of fulfillment because there's no sense of direction. You'd be living from the outside in instead of from the inside out. The news, or whatever else choose to interrupt you for the day, will dictate your life experience without a vision. But with a vision, you're focused, and focus has power in it. or you can drift with the fear and the drama and the chaos of the worldly events. So, inspiring yourself with a vision to keep you focused on being more of who you truly are, knowing that you are a spiritual being first, having a human experience, putting things in right order. Inspiring yourself with a vision means leading yourself. Do you consider yourself a leader? Maybe that's the first vision that you might have for yourself this year. Inspiring yourself with a vision then has you focused and centered on the truth of your unique beingness. Don't lose yourself in the reactions to the world. Which means practicing being centered and knowing what you stand for, who you are. So a lot of us, if I go back to a little bit about what Ernest was talking about in the presidential election, we have a society that's lost in what? Fear, reactivity, confusion, polarization, materialism. Yes, outer conditions. Does the world need us? The world needs you, and for us to support each other. So I have a gift for you. Is Lynn in the room? Lynn, can you, I want you to, Crystal Gertsch is not with us here today, but our front office manager worked with me over the last couple weeks to create a laminated card that we're going to pass around, and I ask you to take one. And if you buy a wet erase pen, you can put on the laminated card, you can fill in the blanks. And guess what the blanks are? It's the 5 steps of affirmative prayer, what we call spiritual mind treatment. Spiritual mind treatment. So you can pick the quality of God that Sandy was talking about earlier today. Pick your quality and fill in your card. And put that card in a place where you can remind yourself of the attribute of God that you are going to serve in for the day or the week. And then, because it's a laminated card with a wet erase pen, you can simply put it under the faucet. It will dissipate, and then you can choose another quality of God for the next day or the next week. So your mission, now I'm going to give you an assignment. And you have a week to do it, meaning I hope to see you next Sunday. Because we're going to have a community meeting after the service. And what's really important is doing your spiritual practice this week to inspire yourself with a vision for you and to bring that back next Sunday. Now, it doesn't have to be polished. If you're a type A and perfectionist, you know what? Let go, get loose, be creative, play. It doesn't have to be in a perfect form. It's just that you've spent time doing your spiritual practice and connecting with what it is your vision is for you for 2017. And why am I having you do that this week? Because next week, we're going to tie your vision into the vision for the center here for 2017. Now, I also want to say, again, for the type A in the room, and I'm one of those, so it's important that we understand that this is a journey and that we begin with rough drafts and we play with it. Meaning we figure out how we interconnect with each other, what this center can do to make a difference for each other, for Chico, for the nation, for the world, because it is the ripple effect. We are one, and when you affect in one place, that ripples out to other places. Okay, how many of you read the book, The Celestine Prophecy? Yeah, probably most of you, because it was a New York Times bestseller for a long time, and of course, a very spiritual book. And how many of you read The 10th Insight, which is the next book? Okay, a few less of you. The 10th Insight, Holding the Vision. I'm not going to summarize, although I have a few points here, but just based on time. The first book was about 9 insights. And if you Google the 9 insights, you'll find that different people have different interpretations of what those 9 insights are. But they all serve us very well, regardless of the interpretation. But I'm going to get a little more specific about the 10th insight, holding your vision. Why? I want to remind you that this book was written in 1996. How old? 20 years. And I'm going to ask for your patience because I'm going to read quite a few paragraphs of the book, and I think you'll understand why, because it'll apply to the center's vision going forward. I could clearly see what was intensifying the polarization. Each side was thinking the other to be a conspiracy of evil. The advocates of the old world view were no longer considering the human potentialists as misguided or naive, but were in fact considering them to be a part of a larger conspiracy of big government, socialists, holdout adherents of the communist solution, who were seeking to accomplish exactly what was occurring, the erosion of cultural life to the point where all-powerful government could come in and straighten everything out. In their view, this conspiracy was using fear of increasing crime, an excuse to register guns and systematically disarm the public, giving greater control to a centralized bureaucracy that would finally monitor the movement of cash and credit cards through uplinks into the internet. This was 20 years ago. Rationalizing the growing control of the electronic economy as crime prevention or as necessity to collect taxes or prevent sabotage. Finally, perhaps under the ploy of this impending natural disaster, Big Brother would step forward and confiscate wealth and declare martial law. For the advocates of liberation and change, just the opposite scenario seemed more likely. In the face of the conservatives' political gains, all that they had worked for seemed to be crashing before their eyes. They too observed the increasing violent crime and the degenerating family structures, only for them the cause was not too much government intervention, but too little, too late. In every nation, capitalism had failed a whole class of people, and the reason was clear. For poor people, there existed no opportunity to participate in the system. Effective education wasn't there, jobs weren't there, and instead of helping, the government seemed to be ready to back away, throwing out the anti-poverty programs with all the other hard-won social gains of the last 25 years. I could clearly see that in their growing disillusionment, the reformers were beginning to believe the worst, that the rightward swing in human society could only be the result of increased manipulation and control by the moneyed corporate interests in the world. These interests seemed to be buying governments, buying the media, and ultimately, as in Nazi Germany, they would slowly divide the world into the haves and have-nots, with the largest, richest corporations running the small entrepreneurs out of business and controlling more and more of the wealth. Sure, there would be riots, but that would just play into the hands of the elite as they strengthened their police control. My awareness suddenly jumped to a higher level. And I finally understood the polarization of fear completely. Great numbers of people seem to be gravitating to one perspective or the other, with both sides raising the stakes to that of war, good and evil, and visualizing the other as perpetrators of a grand conspiracy. It goes on until it finally says, my awareness amplified even further, and just when I had watched Maya's birth vision, I could almost glimpse this higher spiritual understanding. The full picture of where human history was intended to go from here. How we could achieve this reconciliation of views and go on to fulfill our human destiny. Then, as before, my head began to spin and I lost concentration. I couldn't reach the level of energy needed to grasp it. The vision began to disappear, and I strained to hold on, seeing the current situation one last time. Clearly, without the mediating influence of the world vision, the polarization of fear would continue to accelerate. I could see the two sides hardening, their feelings intensifying, as both began to think the other to be just wrong and hideous, venal, in a league with the devil himself. Now, the book goes on to describe how evolution cannot be done alone, individually. That we need to continue to support each other in holding a vision that lifts us up all together beyond the polarization, beyond the fear. Living from the inside out, focused with a deepened understanding of our oneness and wholeness. Do you think we need that now? Are you starting to get a hint of maybe what this center's vision might be made up of? So we're officially changing our name to Center for Spiritual Living Chico, and we plan to actually launch that at our annual board meeting at the end of February. Okay? So business processes are happening, stationery, signs, checks, lots of things have to change. And therefore, it's time for us to start considering our community vision, how it supports you, and how the community's vision supports you, and how your individual vision supports us. And that requires your participation and engagement. Are you committed to that? Is that a New Year's resolution? So today I'm going to just quickly and verbally go through a few things that might be a draft vision to let you contemplate and think about the community's vision. But again, I'm going to say to the Type A folks, this is not about doing the process once and it's done. It's a process. It's a journey together. It's a conversation. And the conversation may have polarizing views. So the question is, can we hold each other together when there are different views about what our vision may be? It'll be a practice. It will be that can we model having differences and still being able to love each other and not live in fear because of the differences, but understanding that the differences are what creates the rainbow. So, thinking about the 10th insight and holding a vision for our future, of course the Center for Spiritual Living Chico is based on science of mind, principles, and philosophy. Number one. We engage in spiritual practices, and that includes affirmative prayer, meditation, mindfulness, visualization, music, and singing. We practice being what we truly are. We practice being that in the world. Love, light, peace, power, beauty, joy, kindness, intelligence, compassion, grace, creativity, to name a few. We learn new tools and techniques that have spiritual and scientific significance in awakening ourselves to our spiritual power, so that we may demonstrate more of who we truly are, because that's what the world needs in order for us to overcome fear and separation. I actually asked if Dr. Johnny Samples and Reverend Lisa Carson would take the online class that's called Mindful Educator. I have a partner who teaches in junior high. She learned from somebody else how to teach mindfulness to students in K through 12. Listening to the quotes of those kids after they do mindfulness is mind-blowing. And I actually have been on the internet. I don't know how much of this is true. You know, you have to obviously do a little more research. But there are actually some schools that instead of detention are asking the students to do mindfulness practices. What do you think? And do you think starting with the youth is important? Do you notice we don't have a whole lot of youth? And how important is that for all of our futures? Yes. And personally in my life, I actually in my family have lots of people who are single moms. Do you think single moms could use a little support? Do you think parents in general could use a little support? Do you think that they would like to have a place where it's not about fear and separation, but about love and aligning with who they truly are? We also talked about live streaming because many of you who've been in this community for a while know Bill and Barbara Heron. And there are lots of other folks who, for instance, when we have things at night, you know, we did a survey and we're analyzing the survey. And some folks don't like to drive at night. That doesn't mean they wouldn't like to participate. So what does live streaming allow? Yep, and it can go two ways. It can go one way, as in at least you can be a part of what's happening and hearing what's going on. But there are also lots of technology, it's okay, that allow people also to interact when they can't find transportation. We have about 4 people right now who would love to have transportation to get to the center. And we're going to be putting together a compassionate care team. We've always had compassionate care, but thanks to Tony Campbell, we're having discussions about organizing that better and about how we use technology to help us reach the needs of our own community and others who would like to be a part of this community but have transportation issues. In addition, I am planning to have it where on, let's say, 2 mornings a week, you can dial into a conference call and we will spend less than 15 minutes having a thought for the day, a few minutes of meditation together, yes, on the phone, it works, and then a treatment. Just to help people do their spiritual practice. What do you think? And I'm going to use technology because I'm looking at a piece of software that would allow me to text folks to say, we're starting treatment in 5 minutes, or starting this session in 5 minutes as a reminder. What do you think? Yes. Okay. So there's a lot of ideas, and I'm sure you have lots of ideas. And again, the vision needs to be a net of, you know, I really believe in team. Together, everyone achieves more. To polish the full vision, to polish the diamond requires the multiple perspectives and multiple everybody participating in what the visions look like. So this is really just the beginning, a launching pad to get us thinking about this center's 2017 vision. So I encourage you to join us next Sunday after service for more discussion and more opportunity for starting to weave a vision together. But I'm going to end today's lesson with a holiday movie trivia. And even if you haven't seen any movies, this won't be a hard question. What movie is this quote from? I am one with the Force is one with me. Rogue One. I went and saw the movie. And the gentleman who had the most connected intuition was blind. And I thought, wow, that has I already get goosebumps. That has a lot of different meanings. Because as he focused from the outside in, he doesn't have his eyes. He is a very strong model for intuition, living from the inside out. Not that he's disconnected from the world. He's in tune with it, but from the inside out. And he continually says, I am one with the Force is one with me. I want you to repeat with me now, I am one with Spirit,
I am one with Spirit,
and Spirit is one with me.
and Spirit is one with me.
One more time, I am one with Spirit,
I am one with Spirit,
and Spirit is one with me.
and Spirit is one with me.
Now by yourselves, I,
And Spirit is one with me.
and I watched many of you close your eyes, beautiful, taking it in. Yes, a wonderful spiritual practice, and I hope that you perhaps can use this mantra to inspire yourself with a vision. Namaste.